So today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful, complex, and honestly tragic figures in all of epic literature, Karna from the Mahabharata. And we're going to look at his story through a really unique lens. We're going to hear his story pretty much from his own perspective.
Right there. That's how he sees himself. A warrior defined by his incredible strength, his legendary charity, and of course his tragic fate. So for the next few minutes, let's just listen in and hear his story in his own words.
All right, so to really get Karna, you've got to go right back to the beginning. You see, his birth was, well, it was both a blessing and a curse, and that one single fact sets up the fundamental conflict of his entire life.
Okay, so get this. Karna wasn't just any man. He was basically a demigod. His father was Surya, the sun god himself, and his mother was Kunti, a royal princess. He was born with this celestial fire inside him, just brimming with potential.
But here's the catch. This whole divine birth thing, it was a secret. His mother Kunti, terrified of the public shame of having a child before marriage, made an absolutely heartbreaking choice. She put him in a basket and just set him adrift in the Ganges River. Can you imagine? Abandoning her firstborn son to whatever fate would find him.
So he's found, right? And he's raised with so much love by a charioteer and his wife. But this is what creates the two completely different halves of his life. He literally had the blood of gods and kings flowing through his veins, but the world only saw him as a Sutaputra, the son of a charioteer. And that one single contradiction, it would haunt him every single day.
So, as Karna starts growing up, it becomes super obvious that he's not just some ordinary kid. He was an incredible warrior. But when he tried to find a teacher, a guru, man, he just hit a brick wall at every turn. And this quote, wow, it just cuts right to the heart of his pain, doesn't it? No matter how good he was, how talented, society was always there to remind him, you're just a Sutaputra. He had to swallow these insults constantly, his spirit just wounded by a world that refused to see who he really was.
And the biggest rejection, the one that really stung, came from Dronacharya. We're talking about the greatest teacher of that era. And Drona just flat out refused him, saying the art of war was for princes, not for some charioteer's son. But you know what? That didn't break him. If anything, it just fueled the fire inside him even more.
Okay, so all this humiliation, all this rejection, it's all building up to something. It's setting the stage for the single most important relationship in his entire life, a moment that would earn his loyalty forever and pretty much seal his fate.
I want you to just picture this scene for a second. You're at this massive tournament. Drona has just declared Prince Arjuna the greatest warrior alive. And then, out of nowhere, this unknown guy walks in and matches Arjuna, skill for skill. That was Karna. But right at the moment he proves himself, bam! He's publicly shamed for his low birth. And in that moment of total disgrace, one person steps forward, Duryodhana. He defends Karna and makes him a king right there on the spot.
Think about that. One act of kindness. In a moment when the whole world was against him, one person called him a friend. And from that day on, Karna's loyalty to Duryodhana was absolute, unbreakable. It was a debt he was prepared to pay with his life.
But Karna's story isn't just about his skill as a warrior. It's also about his insane generosity, his willingness to sacrifice everything. And this all comes to a head in the Great War of Kurukshetra and the tragic and deeply unfair way he goes down.
Okay, this next part is it's incredible. You see, Karna was born with this divine armor, literally fused to his skin. It made him invincible. His own father, the sun god, warns him, hey, Indra's going to come in disguise and try to trick you into giving it away. But Karna had made this sacred vow. He would never, ever turn away anyone asking for a gift. So what does he do? He knowingly cuts this armor from his own body and just gives it away, sealing his own fate. So there he is, entering the biggest war in history. Now vulnerable, but still the most feared warrior out there. And his final showdown with his lifelong rival, Arjuna, it was a battle so unbelievably epic that even the gods literally stopped what they were doing to watch.
And on the battlefield, man, Karna's skill was just on another level. There's this amazing moment where Arjuna shoots an arrow and his chariot, which is being driven by Krishna himself, mind you, it gets pushed back a few feet. But when Karna shoots an arrow, the whole chariot, the chariot holding the Lord of the universe, shakes violently. Krishna basically has to explain to Arjuna, do you realize how powerful this guy is?
But here's the tragic part. Skill alone wasn't enough to beat his destiny.
In his final moments, it was like a perfect storm of bad luck and old curses all hitting him at once. First, a curse from his teacher makes him forget the magic words for his ultimate weapon. Then, another curse makes the earth itself swallow his chariot wheel. So he's stuck, right? He gets down, totally weaponless, trying to free his chariot, and that's when he's attacked. A complete violation of the rules of war.
And that's the tragedy, isn't it? That's the core of his lament. He wasn't beaten by a better warrior. No way. He was taken down by a combination of curses, terrible luck, and a strategic attack when he was completely defenseless. A mighty warrior brought down by destiny itself.
So, at the end of the day, how do we remember Karna? He's probably one of the most complex, most debated characters in the entire epic. Is he a hero, a flawed man? Well, the one thing everyone agrees on is that he's tragic.
The text itself makes this incredibly bold claim. It basically says there has never been a warrior as skilled, a person as charitable, or a friend as loyal as Karna. Peerless, even if many believe he was fighting for the wrong side.
And that's what it all comes down to. That's the question his story leaves us with. This unwavering loyalty, the very thing that made him so noble, was it also the very thing that sealed his doom? Did that loyalty blind him and lead him down a path he just couldn't escape? It's that question that makes his story so much more than just an ancient myth. It's a timeless and a deeply human tragedy.